But let's talk now to Mark Wogan, who knows a thing or two about the showbiz world, son of Terry Wogan, of course. Mark, a very, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you again. Yes, slightly different circumstances from the last time, but nice to see you.
Let's not go into that.
Let's not go into that, no. Michael Parkinson, I mean, people say it a lot, but I mean, he was a one-off, wasn't he? You won't see people like that again. And he was in the business at a time when we were sort of, I suppose, a chat show host was sort of at the centre of the world. He seemed like he interviewed everyone.
He did, and yeah, I don't think the industry as it is now and media how it is now would allow you to create that kind of career anymore. He was a one-off. He was very uncompromising in his style, very different to Dad from the respect that he came from a journalistic background.
Yeah.
But you know, deeply professional and deeply skilled at what he did.
Yes. I mean, your dad was more friendly as an interviewer, I would say. I mean, I don't think Parkinson set out to annoy people, but I think he just did a little bit. Dad was far more relaxed. And, yeah.
You know, people always drew comparisons between the two, but they were very different people. But they did have a genuine mutual respect for each other.
And do you think that, you know, of all of the things that Parkinson did, if you were to ask him, you know, what he was perhaps most proud of, we might all be surprised, because it probably wouldn't be the Muhammad Ali interview or maybe the Rod Hull moment. It would probably be something completely obscure, because I knew people actually who had grown up, not grown up necessarily with him, but who had worked with him when he was a journalist, you know, who had come from Yorkshire and that kind of, you know, very, you know, matter-of-fact way of speaking, a very matter-of-fact way of being, and he loved his cricket and all of that, you know, and I wonder whether his own kind of summation of his finest moment would be very different to what we might think.
I would imagine with Michael it was something to do with cricket.
Yeah,
because he was passionate.
He was
about
a fanatic, wasn't he?
Yeah, and very knowledgeable about it with a lot of the sports programming he did, and the columns that he had in newspapers around sport. You know, he was, and that was similar with Dad. Dad was also very passionate about sport and showed a great interest and love for it. And I think both of them shared that the fact that they relaxed watching sport.
And interestingly enough, I've just seen this, it says in a 2006 poll of the most shocking TV chat show moments, Parkinson's spat with Meg Ryan came third behind Grace Jones slapping Russell Harty, and you'll be pleased to hear this, David Icke pronouncing himself as a son of Godhead to your father.
Yes. I think Michael said that his worst interview ever was Meg Ryan, and I think...
And it was, actually.
Dad's personal one was Anne Bancroft.
Was it? What went wrong there?
Yeah.
Because I don't really remember that one.
Well, she came on Wogan, and I don't think her PR people had told her that it was live.
Right.
And she sat on the sofa terrified and couldn't speak. And it was about a sort of 2-minute monosyllabic response to every question. Right. And then Dad wound it up and got the next guest out.
I mean, that's the great thing about live television, isn't it? You never know what's actually going to happen. And it's amazing to me.
He loved that. Dad preferred live to anything else.
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
You know, he always said it's fun when it goes wrong.
Yes.
That's when it's exciting.
And also you then own it when it goes wrong as well. You know, when somebody was reminding me just the other day of, there's a great news broadcast that went out, I think something like 1981 or something like that, where you can, it's somehow, for some reason, you can hear all the instructions coming from the director in the gallery, where they can't find things, and you know, there's no page 33. There's no film for this. What are we doing next? And it all ends up just turning into complete chaos. It's brilliant, you know.
Yeah. And of course, Dad was famous for never rehearsing.
Yes.
Ever.
Well, he had a particular style that was brilliant, though, wasn't it? I mean, it was literally just nobody else could do it like that. He walked in, got on with it. That was it.
Yeah. But throughout their career with the chat thing, they sort of gently tag-teamed each other. So, you know, as that first incumbent of Parkinson ended, Wogan started.
Yes.
And then as Wogan ended, Parkinson started.
Yes.
And then halfway through the run, I think Michael took it over to ITV.
Yeah. So was there ever a kind of a head-to-head thing going on where one would try and get the interview before the other?
No, I don't think they ever sort of bothered crossing over. There was never crossing over, and they knew each other, and they respected each other. And I think, you know, when we were growing up, we all lived in the same road.
Did you?
Yeah, we all lived in this road called Fishery Road in Bray.
Right.
And I think there was the odd drink taken together at the Hind's Head pub in Bray.
Right. Very
over
nice.
The years.
It's the TV road, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of...
Yeah, it was.
So
it was the TV road.
I don't think...
It was so TV.
I don't know if it's
you
like
had
that
everyone
anymore.
living... No, you had everyone living on the same road. You had Michael Parkinson, Frank Boff,
right.
Billy Connolly, one of the 3 Degrees, and Diana Dawes and Marion Montgomery all on the same road.
Tremendous. You have a yard
I think they
sale.
started running tours.
Yeah.
I think they started running tours.
It is.
I think that's when Dad moved out.
Right.
But I think the one very key similarity between them both is they didn't do what they did to be famous.
Right.
They did it because they loved doing.
Yeah.
You know, fame was a sort of byproduct
Sure.
of what they did.
Right.
And as a result, the one thing they definitively shared was a dislike of reality TV.
Yes. I mean, this is the thing. And also, funnily enough, I think, you know, we sort of all mourn the loss of these kinds of television characters. You know, your father was a one-off, as was Michael Parkinson. And I think, as I say, your dad was probably slightly more likeable by most people's standards. But because Parkinson could be a bit edgy and a bit kind of, you know, intrusive.
At least Michael was true to himself.
But he was,
He didn't bend for anybody.
No, and there's nothing like that. And I know I don't want to sound like some boring old fart who just goes, it's not like it was. But it isn't like it was. You know, there isn't anything. I was saying earlier on to Ali Ross, you know, Saturday night in my house when I was growing up in the sort of early 70s to late 70s, you know, Saturday night you sat in front of the TV with your parents until I was 16. I started going out with girls. That was my life, and just, you know, Saturday night.
You were always a late developer, though, Mike.
I was. It's true. It's very true. Morecambe and Wise, you know, Match of the Day, Parkinson. It was brilliant. You know, now there's nothing that keeps me in on a Saturday night other than my laziness and my, you know, disinterest in actually going anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's the same. It's the same for all of us. Now we're at a certain age, but you know, as I said at the beginning, I don't think the way media is, you know, set up now, it allows careers like that to develop anymore. You wouldn't get the time or space to develop a career like that anymore.
No. And I mean, now the sort of the big names are doing weird and other things. You know, it's like, you know, it's David Attenborough and it's, you know, newsreaders who are the big names as opposed to people who actually are very skilled, as both of the men we're talking about were, at getting stuff out of people.
And I'd say, and not being, you know, Michael was not. It was harder. It was a slightly harder interview because he wasn't afraid to ask those questions that others wouldn't. I mean, you know, you had David Frost who would ask any question of anybody.
Right.
And that always led to some interesting interviews. And Dad had you know, as we say, he had a more gentle style that allowed people to be how they wanted to be.
But he made them relax, didn't he? Which I think was his great skill. Because, and he probably didn't even know how he did that. He just did it.